Champions Cup is back and we have some tasty fixtures to look forward to. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. We've got some really big games in the Champions Cup this weekend, and a lot of the teams are starting to come into decent form at the right time of the season as well, which should mean that we're going to have some really exciting games at the weekend. So we're going to go through a little bit like each of the games, just kind of preview them a small bit and just talk about, how the teams kind of got here as well. And, just kind of touch on as well, who I think is potentially going to win each of the games. So I'm going to start with Harlequins versus Glasgow. This was on Friday, the 5th of April, and kickoff is at 8. It's BST right now. It's British summertime at the Twickenham Stoop. So both these teams, doing fairly well in their domestic leagues. Harlequins 4th in the Premiership, Glasgow 2nd in the URC, and Harlequins finished 2nd in their pool in Pool 2, Glasgow finishing 3rd in Pool 3. So, it's a fairly close matchup between these two, and I'm thinking about the kind of rule of 1 and 4, right, for the knockout stages in the Champions Cup, which is basically on average, not always, but on average, 1 in 4 away teams win in the knockout stages. And I'm looking down through the names that are kind of on the the away sides, and for me, Glasgow, they're doing really well, but in terms of just pedigree in this tournament, there are teams who I'd put ahead of them for that potential away win. But I'm going to actually back them in this one. I'm going to say that Glasgow, this could be a coming of age for Glasgow. I think they're going to maybe just about pip Harlequins. Both teams, they like to run the ball. So it's going to be an exciting game. We're also, Glasgow obviously have that huge weapon in their maul too, but still they've got some decent backs, and when they get the chance, they really do shift that ball. Harlequins can attack from anywhere, and at times, they're a delight to watch, but other times it's heart in the mouth kind of stuff, for their own fans, kind of similar to, I would say, Connacht really in that way, in that, their own fans sometimes, would rather that they were a little bit more pragmatic when it comes to big games. But, I think this is going to be a high scoring one, and I think Glasgow are just about going to come out on top. So next then we're into the Saturday games. So early kickoff, 12:30. And it's Volacom Bulls versus the Lions. This is at Lotus Versfeld. And, this is, I think, a big game for the Bulls, because, I think they really should have ambitions to, at least make the quarterfinals this year, and hopefully for them at least try and get in even into the semi-finals. I think it would be a big step forward for them. But it's a tough game. Like Lyon, they're not like the big kind of European name that a lot of the other French teams that are still left in this are, but they've been decent in Europe over the last couple of seasons, and they did well this season as well. I felt like they stepped up a bit compared to the other kind of the other seasons, because remember they were in the Challenge Cup as well in previous seasons too. So stepping up to Champions Cup level can be a bit daunting for teams, and it take a while to find their feet. But I think they did that really well this season and got themselves through the group as well. If we look at the kind of how the teams went, so the Bulls finished 2nd in Pool 1, and Lyon finished 2nd in the same pool as well. These two teams actually met in Lyon in the pool stages, and Lyon won 29 points to 28. The Bulls did have a chance to snatch the win late on with, I think it was a long range penalty or something, right? They definitely had a penalty that they missed with about maybe 5 minutes to go or a few minutes to go. But they missed that one, and Lyon managed to hang on. Now, the fact that this is at Loftus Versfeld, I'm expecting there to be a big crowd there. You know, that we've seen recently now with the URC that the crowds in South Africa are beginning to swell, and it's really good to see as well that the South Africans are kind of getting into European rugby, you know, whether it's the URC or the Champions Cup, and I think this will be a big crowd draw as well for them. And, you know, with that home crowd at the back and the fact that Lyon have to travel there as well, I'm going to back the Bulls for this one. So a home win there. I think the Bulls will maybe win by, I think it's going to be a couple of scores. I think it's going to be one of those ones where maybe Lyon are in it with, you know, 10 or 15 minutes to go, and the Bulls then get a score to kind of blow the score out a little bit, out to 2 scores maybe. But yeah, I'm going for a Bulls win on that one. Next one then is another game in South Africa, and this one is the Stormers versus La Rochelle. So defending champions La Rochelle. Stormers, so far at least, the most successful of the South African teams that have come into the URC and into the Champions Cup as well. You know, URC champions 2 years ago, finalists last year as well. Got to the quarterfinals of this competition last year too. But obviously La Rochelle, 2 times defending champions. This one is a 3 o'clock kickoff. It's at the DHL Stadium. Although again, you know, I'm pretty sure that the Stormers fans don't call it the DHL Stadium, but I just have to go with whatever is written on the thing in front of me. But you know, these 2 teams again, they played in the pool stages, and it was another close one. The Stormers 21, La Rochelle 20. La Rochelle losing their opening 2 games, and then, you know, finishing fairly well to claim claim their place in the round of 16, and also keep that hope alive of 3 in a row as well. Like, they look almost dead and buried, honestly, after the first 2 rounds, but turn things around. And both teams have kind of turned their form around as well. You know, both teams were kind of a bit lower in their respective leagues when they met that time in the pool stages, but they both kind of climbed up, and actually both 5th in their league. So Stormers 5th in the URC and La Rochelle 5th in the top 14. And, you know, in the pool as well, like, it was 2nd and 3rd that they finished, you know, and it was really that game that the Stormers won in South Africa that kind of was the difference between the 2 teams. And, you know, maybe that's going to be the same thing again here with home advantage. But La Rochelle, you think, you know, Leinster home advantage last year in the final didn't matter. La Rochelle found a way to win. And now against the Stormers, they've got to again hope, you know, I think they will get a big crowd. They're going to get, you know, a bumper crowd for this, and they probably need that crowd as well to dig them out at times, because this one's going to be a real epic. And it probably will be similar to the first meeting that they had, where it's going to be like very tight, like 1 score, or even 1 penalty between the teams. Maybe a little bit higher scoring. You know, I'm thinking maybe, you know, higher in the 20s or somewhere into the 30s for both teams, but still with 1 score in it. And this is a tough one. Like, I still haven't decided who's actually going to win it. But I'm a URC fan, so I'm going to say the Stormers are just about going to take this one out, but I wouldn't be surprised if La Rochelle, turn them over. Okay, next then we have a Saturday game kicking off at the same time at 3. I don't know why they do this. Like, why not spread the games out over the weekend a bit more so we can watch all of the games live? But Exeter Chiefs versus Bath. One of only 2 games between two teams from the same league as well. The other one's coming, I think, at the end. 2 French teams playing each other, but 2 English teams playing each other here. And Exeter and Bath, So they both come out, or Exeter come out of Pool 3, finished second. Bath come out of Pool 2, they finished third. And in the Premiership, Exeter at the moment 6th, Bath in second. And it's kind of a bit of a toss-up here between these. In recent years, obviously Exeter have been the team that have delivered in Europe. Bath, though, a little bit of resurgence for them. Obviously, historically, Bath were a big team in European competition. That would have been way back in the days, when Ulster were winning the competition. But Bath, historically at least, having a history in this competition, but in recent years, not really being anywhere close to threatening for titles or even going deep into the tournament. Whereas Exeter, they played La Rochelle in the semi-final last year, I'm pretty sure. So they know about that. Obviously, they had to rebuild the team after that as well. That was kind of a last hurrah for them. And because of that, actually, Bath are one of the two teams I'm backing for an away win in the round of 16. I still don't know who the other one is because I haven't actually decided yet. But yeah, I'm going for a Bath win here, just simply because I think Bath are in better form and Exeter maybe not the force that they were in previous seasons. Okay, next then we have another tasty game here. It's at 5:30 and it's in the Stade Chabon Delmas. It's Union Bordeaux Bègles versus Saracens, so Bordeaux versus Saracens. And yeah, this one, like, it's another repeat of a pool stage game. We have 5 repeats of pool stage games in this one, actually 6 ties between teams that were in the same pools, and only like Toulouse and Racing, because they're both from France, they obviously didn't play each other in the pool, but otherwise it would be 6 teams who've already played each other, which, I think maybe in terms of the draw, they need to do something about that for the future to try and make it a little bit more, a little bit fresher, I guess, facing up against other teams from different pools or wherever. But it does throw up some exciting games, and this is definitely one of them. So, the two teams played each other in the pools, and it was absolute blowout. But I think if somebody had said to you before the tournament, that Bordeaux and Saracens were going to play each other in the pool stages, and one team was going to absolutely destroy the other team, scoring 9 tries to 2. Almost everybody, even Bordeaux fans, probably would have said the Saracens were the team who were going to do it. Bordeaux, they do have like hugely exciting backs, the likes of Pinot and Biel Barry in there, and like you read it off and it's almost reads like a French backline, but no, up until this season, absolutely no history at all at the top table in Europe, whereas Saracens, multiple champions, multiple Premiership champions as well, been there, done that, but it was Bordeaux who destroyed Saracens in, I think it was the final round of pool games as well. So the last game that both of these teams played, I think, in this competition was that 55 points to 15 drubbing that Bordeaux handed out to them in the same stadium as well. So, it means that, Saris, they've got to find something better than they produced last time out. I don't think Bordeaux are going to be as spectacular as they were, but there's plenty of kind of room for them there to, drop off a little bit and still win handily. But I think, it's a round of 16 games. Saracens, as I said, maybe the squad is kind of getting like Exeter were last year, where they could do with maybe refreshing it a bit more. But there's still a lot of experience in there and that ability to cling in, especially in knockout games. And because of that, I think it's going to be, close between these two. But I still think Bordeaux, there's going to be a bit of magic in there. I think that's going to win it. It could be from one of those two magic wingers that they have. My money is on Biel Barry. If I'm pretty sure he's available for haven't checked teams that aren't out yet, I don't think, but I think he is available, and if he is, I think he's going to be the man to do it. Pernod, always a threat as well, but the pack has to stand up to what is still a very strong Saracens pack as well. But yeah, I'm going for Bordeaux in that one. Next, we have another repeat of a pool game. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff at the Aviva Stadium. It's Leinster versus Leicester. These two play each other so often, like played in the pool stages, played in this year, played in the quarterfinals last year, and it seems year on year they play each other. And in recent years, Leinster have definitely had the wood over Leicester, but Leicester really are turning themselves around over the last few seasons as well. But in the pool stages, it was 27 points to 10. That was away in England. So that's a decent win for Leinster to go over there and do that. They won fairly comfortably in the quarterfinal last year, and you feel like Leicester have got to make it an arm wrestle between these two to have any chance of going through. They've almost got to keep it so that neither team breaks the 20-point mark in terms of points scored. One of these ones where you win like 16-9 or 16-10, something like that, would be, I think, the best bet for Leicester. I think if it's a bit open, like Leinster, they haven't hit top form this season, but like that last game out against the Bulls, even though they weren't at their absolute best, still some of the tries they scored were scintillating. And then like the pack as well, delivering like some hard yards and some hard tries there as well. And given all of that, like I have to go, I think, for a home win here, and a Leinster to take it out. And maybe Leicester will make it kind of close for, it's one of these ones again, right? 60-65 minutes maybe, but Leinster, what they got to do is, if they're going to be able to do that, you got to stop Leinster scoring in those 5 minutes before halftime and 5 minutes after halftime, because they killed so many games off like that. They did it last year, I think, as well against them. They just a quick, like a double. You're thinking at halftime, Leinster are thinking of getting over that score, for a score before the break, and then you come out after halftime, then all the instructions in your head, from the coach, and then Leinster hit you again, and any advice there almost goes out the window, because now you're completely chasing the game. So they got to stop that if they're going to have any chance. And again, I think they really do need to keep a low scoring game, but against this Leinster team, that's very difficult. We've seen very few teams able to do it. We saw the Bulls did it a couple of seasons ago. Munster did it last season in the URC, and La Rochelle, although it wasn't like very low scoring, they still kept Leinster like under 30 points when they beat them last year in the final. So it's a tough task for Leicester, and because of that, I've got to back Leinster on that one, and it's not just because I'm a Leinster fan. Okay, on to the next one then, and that is Northampton versus Munster. And this one is again a repeat of a pool game. It's at Franklin's Gardens. Kickoff is 12:30. It's on Sunday, April 7th, and you look at the relative positions of the teams. Northampton first in the Premiership, Munster fourth in the URC, but they have found a little bit of form. It's a little bit shaky on that though, and it feels like a little bit of pressure on them, and they could be in trouble again. But Northampton finished first in Pool 3, and Munster finished fourth in the same pool. And actually, Bordeaux Saracens was Pool 1 first versus fourth, and Leicester was Pool 4 first versus fourth. This one is Pool 3 first versus fourth, and then the next one we're going to see is Pool 2 first versus fourth. So all of the winners of the pools end up playing the teams, or being put against the teams that are finished fourth in their same pool. So that didn't really help with the trying to avoid repeat matchups. But when they did play each other, it was in Thomond Park, and Northampton came away 26-23 winners. And they came back in the last 10 minutes. Basically, like, they had a penalty with maybe about 15 minutes to go, I think, and then a try with about 9 minutes to go, 9 or 10 minutes to go, and that was enough to win it for them. Munster were ahead, but they stopped scoring like in the 48th minute, and that was a big problem for Munster. And they've only kind of recently started to get away from the fact that they kept falling off in the second half of games, especially the last quarter of games, where they score very few points. I feel like if they have any chance at all of winning this one, they've got to fix that. They've got to be able to come up with probably, in the last 20 minutes or so of the game, I think Munster probably have to score somewhere between 10 and 15 points if they're going to win this one, because Northampton are going to be, putting the foot down and putting huge pressure on them as well. And Munster, they do have like a decent attacking game. The pack is sort of coming together as well, but Northampton, they're top of the Premiership for a reason. Like, they're in really good form, and my head is saying Northampton definitely going to win this one, but I've still got one pick to go for an away win, and I probably should have used that pick for La Rochelle, but I'm going to use it now for Munster, and it really is honestly like heart over head on this one. Just going to back the Irish team on this, but I think on form, you've got to say that Northampton definitely the favourites, but I think Munster will take it out, but it's going to be a hell of a fight for them, and it's going to be, a famous win if they do pull it off. Okay, so last game of the round of 16 then is on Sunday, 7th of April as well. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff, and it's in the Stade Ernest Wallon, and it is Toulouse versus Racing 92. So, this is kind of a nice little sample really of the history of this competition. You got like the Kings of Europe, 5 times champions, Toulouse, versus the Kings and like the pretenders, basically. Racing 92, a team that promised so much. They've had superstar after superstar there, and they've never really produced in this competition. We know that they want to produce. They want to do well in this, and they've recruited specifically, I think, to build a squad that is capable of winning this one. But this is a huge test for them, and I don't think I think they're a couple of seasons away, honestly. Like, even with Stuart Lancaster in there, still a couple of seasons away from really being, it might be next season, but certainly not this season, I don't think, of being competitive at the sharp end of this competition. I think this is probably where their run ends. If we look at the table, though, it's second and third. So Toulouse are second in the top 14 and Racing third. So both teams in really good form, but Toulouse just have that nous and that, bank of experience in this competition. And, again, another semi-finalist from last year. That, for them, going out in the round of 16 would definitely be a huge underachievement, I think, for this team. Not just in terms of the history in the competition, but I think, given like how good their team is anyway. Whereas Racing, again, I feel like, having progressed from the pool stage, I think was a step forward for them. But now, I think this is again where that ends, I think, for them. And then next year, they've got to try and build on that. But if they did win, like, what a huge, G up for them, boosting in, confidence, and also just a statement as well that they are going to be serious in this competition for once. But honestly, I can't see it happening, so I'm going to go for a Toulouse win there. And I think Toulouse, it'll be an exciting game because Racing are kind of similar to Harlequins in that, they're never really dead and buried in the game. They're always got that chance to kind of hit you with a quick fire double, and score from anywhere kind of thing. But I think Toulouse have that as well as being able to, grind a team down and score the tough way as well. And I think that's going to be the difference between the teams when it comes down to it. Okay, so that is our look at the round of 16. I will be covering games, over the weekend. If I kind of have a look down through the ones that, I'm obviously going to try and cover the ones that are most exciting to me. I've got the weekend off, which is great, which means that I can pick and choose. So obviously Friday night game, there's only one game on, so I'm definitely covering Quins versus Glasgow. Then into Saturday, Bulls versus Lyon. There's no competition in terms of other games on the same time, so should be covering that. Then the 3 o'clock kickoffs, I think the Stormers versus La Rochelle is just mouth-watering, so we're definitely covering that one. On to then 5:30, Bordeaux versus Saracens. I'll be covering that as well. And then the later game then, Leinster, Leicester. Leinster, my team, so obviously going to cover that. Into Sunday then, Northampton, Munster, definitely covering that. And then Toulouse and Racing, if I can find somewhere to watch it, because sometimes when it's two French teams, it can be difficult to find, somewhere to actually watch the game. But if I can, I'm covering that too. So I think Exeter Bats is probably the only team that I won't, or one that I won't cover in terms of doing a match review. But there should be 7 of 8 of the quarterfinals, or sorry, round of 16 that I cover. And then on, at the start of the week, probably Monday, honestly, Monday evening, then we'll have a review of the round in total. So we will touch on that game at that stage anyway. But, I've made my predictions for these ones. I'm probably I'm going to go do my Super Brew now in a minute, and I'm probably going to forget half the predictions that I did and predict other winners as well. But what do you think of my predictions? I'm pretty sure you're not going to agree with every single one of them. So let me know which ones you think are right or wrong. And what are your predictions, and how do you think as well, if your team are involved, how do you think they're going to go, not just in this round, but if you think they're going to go further in the competition, how far do you think they're going to go as well?